Good evening, Jake. It's Wednesday, February 23rd, 2011. God, what is going on with my hair? You can always tell what time of day that I shoot the videos because the closer it gets to the 24-hour cycle of me showering, my hair gets all weird and amorphous in its shape. Jake, I'd like to preface this video by elaborating on something that I might have left ambiguous in my last video. You see, the gentleman who, sort of completely shuffled off love as arbitrary, I think that he might have simply been referring to romantic love. In previous discussions, he has shown significant affection for his family and his friends. I think that what he was grappling at was, although it's still incredibly cynical in my opinion, is the notion that romantic love is non-existent or something that no one can reasonably attain. But you know what I say, Jake? I say, I don't know much, but I know I love you. Before I elaborate on the main topic of my video, which is sort of bouncing off of what you talked about yesterday, I wanted to bring to light something interesting that I discovered today on the interwebs. So during the free hour I had around lunch today, I decided to log on to our YouTube and just check out our page just for giggles. And I clicked on our name to the drop-down menu to open up the my channel subscriptions, my videos thing, and there was a little 1 next to our inbox. And I thought, oh no, was one of our videos flagged, or was that just some kind of pop-up thing about, subscribers? And so I clicked on it. And there was a single personal message from Lieberman Biro 1705 about your new video. It reads, "How's it going? Your videos are amazing. I wish more people's were as good as yours. I don't understand why you aren't getting more views though. It blows my mind that your vids can't get more views. I mean, have you seen some of the crap that's on the top of the rankings? They were completely enjoyable to watch, much more so than many videos on the site. I just can't believe how many people would rather watch unoriginal crap than something as new as yours. Anyway, I've used up enough of your time. I just wanted to let you know that I used to have the same problem with low views until I found," and I'm not going to read you the name of the site because I don't want to. "They basically send a ton of views to your videos and help you get recognized by the YouTube community. They even have a free trial going on now, so why not give them a try? No matter what, keep making those videos. They really are some of the best around. Have a good one, Christina." And upon clicking on her profile, you find out Christina is a 33-year-old from India, so I'm sure that's all legitimate. But this was kind of a bummer because I clicked on this thinking, oh my gosh, we have like a fan or something! And halfway through I realized that there's such a thing as YouTube spam. Now, on the 1% chance that Christina is an actual person who watches our videos, it would contribute to the legitimacy of your claims if you would subscribe to us and then perhaps promote your, opinions of our little channel elsewhere. But you'll forgive me if I find your video, which seems to be a plug for this website-y thing, seems a tad illegitimate. But what really got me about this was that there's a site that you can go to in order to pretty much spam the hell out of your YouTube page to up your viewer count. Now, the interesting thing that sort of perplexed me was the only thing, unless you somehow, produce music or, have memorabilia for the gags that you have on your YouTube channel, or figure out how to work out some sort of advertising deal when you get so big as like, a mainstream celebrity, I don't really understand why anyone would want to do this. Because I think people like Charlie McDonald and Alex Day and Fresned all, they don't do this for any sort of, profit or gain. They do it for the, the realization that there are X number of people that are interested in the videos that they're making. And so I don't understand why, especially when you do have such a low view count, why would you want to augment your successes when the knowledge of the legitimacy of your successes is the only thing that you actually get out of this experience. So for me, it's not just a matter of like the integrity of it, it's like the mentality of doing it at all. Like, there is no question of integrity, it's just a sort of self-serving paradox or something. I don't know. Now, Jake, you brought up a lot of interesting points in your, retaliation to my video. I sort of like just the name, just John got Jake to thinking, and maybe sort of think like I was like Beelzebub in your ear, like making you like deliberate all these things that like sort of shook you to your very core, like, yes, doubt, to Jake. Become one of us. But here's one little thing that I wanted to say about the notions that you sort of posed about love. You spoke in a way that I think many of us do when we say, now, I hate to, fall into cliches or the like. And I think that it's very easy to do and very natural to fall into cliches, because I think that cliches are indicative of something that is a common human experience or a common concept, something that we all sort of uniquely share as a species. Not just like, a rhetorical little slot that people fall into because it's encoded because of its regularity. It is something that sort of identifies something that we all find universally true. But at the same time, I think that any time that we, branch out into cliches, people question the genuineness of cliches. Which I think is an excellent challenge, because I think it, makes us face the nature of cliches and sort of trying to find novel and interesting ways to approach and discuss those cliches. Because I think that the one thing that cliches challenge us with is genuineness, and I think that what we really do need to do is try and make ourselves more genuine by sort of reinventing, working around those cliches. Now, with what you said about the political discourse in Libya, well, you sort of, got at this issue that I think people have about the nature of, like, American intelligence. And you talked in a very, interesting, discussion about whether or not we are, adequately aware of the nature of our political system and if we are involved enough. And right off the bat, I would probably say that we're not. Less than a fourth of, or maybe only a fourth of us voted in the last election. The majority of high school students couldn't even give you a geographic layout of the United States, let alone socio-political layout of it. But Jake, then you started to talk about the nature of our democracy as sort of a very, in our Constitution, as sort of a very exemplary and ideal sort of situation, maybe not ideal, but optimal for the world that we live in. And really what I saw as the underpinnings of the debate that you posed was whether or not we are complacent or content with our situation. I think that the answer lies in the approach that you take. As Americans are gifted with something truly extraordinary in the modern world. Not that it does not exist in other places, but that it is in fact in contrast to other less favorable systems. We as Americans are, given the liberties to take part in social and political discourse. We can research upcoming legislation and are able to vote on it and repeal and protest, much like the people in Wisconsin and other states where uprisings are currently happening, or I wouldn't call them uprisings because they all seem to be very nice, civilized people. But the real danger, I think, in political discourse is sort of the emotional charge that we put to it. And this might run into the cliches, but I'm going to try and give you a more intelligent interpretation of it. Watching The Daily Show last night, and before I go any further, I do think that as youth who are more interested in the satire of politics than the actual politics, we go to things like The Daily Show, The Colbert Report, and the Onion, Onion News Network, as a way to sort of get our feet wet in the political system, so that we can branch out into other mediums of intelligent journalism, so that we can research the things that satirists are talking about, so that we can become informed to get the jokes that they are making. I mean, that's why when this whole thing with Mubarak in Egypt started to break out, I watched like 8 hours of CNN. And in that, 8-hour block, I sort of realized the things that Stewart's been critiquing for the past 10 years. Essentially, there were 5 minutes of useful development in that 6-hour, 8-hour period, and they just overanalyzed it over and over again. And each different correspondents on different shows would become the host of the next 2-hour block, and then they would just throw it back to the host who was previously the correspondent, or vice versa. And so they just kind of piggybacked each other, expounding the same information over and over again. But I will say, at least there was news there. You see, the danger of modern politics is the discourse that can sort of be hyperinflated with rhetoric that makes the opponent seem like they are, truly working to the detriment of the United States and its interests. You see, what Mr. Stewart was getting at was that the people who considered the previous Tea Party movements to be a beautiful expression of liberty and free voice and an attempt for, the small working class American life to challenge the sort of, tyrannical legislation of Washington without proper representation. These were the individuals that sort of were incredibly critical of this new labor movement in Wisconsin, saying that this sort of upheaval in discourse was, while the dissenters themselves consider themselves more like what is going on in Egypt as far as trying to combat what they consider to be an intrusion on their rights. The people who previously thought that this large, public, outcry was a positive thing in one light, when it is sort of flipped around to the opposite views, they then become dissenters who are trying to upthrow the government and, create some sort of uprising, and that's simply not the case. In order to show that the hypocrisy was did not discriminate, Mr. Stewart also showed that on the other side there were people who thought that the Tea Party movement was, nothing but a bunch of whack jobs who didn't understand the true democratic process, and then that these hardworking American laborers in Wisconsin were really at, the grassroots of a problem that they were, very rightfully both voicing their opinions about. But what does this have to do with what I was talking about earlier? We as Americans have a right to take part in our political discourse, but we do the entire system a disservice when we sort of hyperbolize the situation by demonizing the enemy. I cannot honestly fathom how anyone on the left or the right could truly think that the opposite side is working intentionally to destroy the democratic system that we have created here. Every person in this country has to understand is that everybody wants the best for this country. If the Democrats once wanted to instigate legislation promoting universal health care, and Republicans wanted to promote tax breaks or tax cuts for whoever, both of these ideas are out there because both sides legitimately think that these are the things that are going to turn the country around in a positive direction. But what we cannot do is assume that the other person is instigating their policies in order to, have some sort of tyrannical self-gain. When you're faced with an argument or a plan that you disagree with, you do not attack it because of the underpinnings of the motivations for that system that you are opposed to. You attack it not in any sort of personal way in order to expose the impracticalities of it, or in some way you must actually prove that that thing is going to not be beneficial in the ways that it was intended to be, because all initiatives, I think, unless you're dealing with the utmost corruption, which I think does not exist, I think that people on both sides of the aisle do this thing where they intentionally create a sense of hyperbolized hysteria in order to make all the public think that they are the only harbingers of good that are left in the country, and that's not the case. I'm just trying to tell you that you should listen to the actual thought process of your opponents in order to understand why they want the things they do, so that you can become better at combating them, or you might just turn around and consider some of the things that they have to offer as legitimate possibilities. Because the thing about liberals and conservatives in this country is that those terms have become like negative things. The thing is, liberal comes from the term like to liberate. When you have a liberal education, that's not like abortion, or it's not like they engrave certain ideas into your head. A liberal education is one that liberates you from your ignorances. To be a liberal person is to be free, to exercise freedom and promote freedom. And on the other side of that coin, conservatism is simply saying that they want to conserve the ideas and principles that they consider closest to their society, to the way that they operate as people. And so preserving one's own integrity, conserving that, is what it means to be conservative. Neither of these terms should be considered negative.